You've heard the story, right? That old mantra for success in business. Go big or go home. Scale up, hire more, chase bigger clients, and grow at all costs. But what if that's not just wrong, but what's keeping you from becoming truly rich? I used to chase growth like my life depended on it. I bought into the hype, hook, line, and sinker. My revenue was at an all-time high. The numbers on the spreadsheet were insanely big, and people were really impressed. But behind the curtains, I was so burnt out. I was incredibly depressed, and I felt more like a firefighter than a business owner. So that's when I discovered that staying small might just be the best and most profitable business decision that you can ever make for your business. The pressure to grow is everywhere. It's in every book, it's at every conference, it's on every podcast. Everywhere you go, people are just worshipping this metric that is scale. And, I know that when I go to conferences or networking events, all I ever hear is, how big is your team? What's your revenue at? Have you hit that 7-figure turnover yet? I chase those numbers relentlessly. In the early days, my business was my passion. I was a craftsman, a creator, and I genuinely loved the work. But as I started to succeed, the work actually just disappeared. My calendar was suddenly this nightmare of management meetings, payroll problems, and just continuous admin. I was so sucked in on working on the business of the business that I had no time to do the actual work that made the business successful in the first place. And the costs, well, they exploded because I needed a bigger team, a bigger office, more software that I basically never use, and just generally more overheads to keep this massive, chaotic mess going that I'd created by expanding so quickly. And the most ridiculous part, well, even though my revenues were growing and they were bigger than ever before, my profits were smaller than ever before. So it's not just me, and it makes me feel a little bit better knowing this, and it wasn't just me running my business badly when I decided to grow. A 2024 study of 25,000 companies actually found that 27% of businesses with increased revenues and growing revenues actually also had shrinking profits. So I was definitely one of them. More money was coming in, but even more money was flowing out. I was basically working twice as hard for less pay, and the freedom that I created my business for in the first place somehow turned into this bad joke. So I basically ended up being trapped by my own ambition and this definition of success that I didn't even create. I was trying to live out someone else's definition of success. So does that sound familiar to you? And you also feeling that pressure to grow, and you starting to feel overwhelmed by the very thing that you built in order to gain freedom? Because you're not alone. But if that does sound like you, then this is where we learn how to flip the script. So my breaking point came one night when I was basically staring at the cash projection, and I was looking at these numbers and they just didn't really seem to add up. I brought in way more clients and revenue than ever before, but somehow I was closer to financial crisis more than ever before too. I was exhausted and I was just fed up. And so I decided to just ask myself that one question that finally changed everything. Why the hell am I doing this? Because I certainly didn't sign up to run a business to be stressed all the time, have no time, not spend any time with my loved ones, and just be in constant panic mode is what it felt like, and so much pressure. That's when I realised, what if the goal isn't actually to get bigger, but it's just to get better? And so therefore, what if the ultimate metric of success isn't scale, but it's freedom, profitability, and resilience? So this was my light bulb moment. I had to redefine what success meant to me. So it wasn't about having the biggest company. It was about having the best life. It wasn't about gross revenue. It was about net profit. And it wasn't about employee headcount and the size of my team, but it was more about how much flexibility and control I had over my own day. So this mindset shift is the foundation of the stay small philosophy. So it's a conscious, strategic choice to reject the scale at all costs model and instead build this lean, sustainable business model that basically lets you have more control of your life and become more profitable and sustainable, and let you build a business that serves you rather than the other way around. So it's about figuring out what is enough and building a fortress of profitability around that number. So how does this actually work? How does staying small paradoxically make you richer? Well, let's dig into the mechanics and find out. So the first most immediate benefit is the massive drop you'll get in financial stress. So when you intentionally keep your business lean, you massively slash your business overheads. So think about it. No giant office leases, no massive payroll, no enterprise grade software solutions that you have to pay for. And once all of these prices drop, your break-even point plummets too. So this means you can get way more profitable with fewer clients. Now think about it. A big agency might need hundreds of clients to actually gain a profit on what they're doing and their operations. But a small, lean business can actually probably get away with just having 4 or 5 clients and actually still be wildly profitable. So your profit margins, the money that you actually get to keep, the most important metric that people don't focus enough on, and instead of the big numbers, that actually massively then grows. So secondly, which I think is one of the most powerful ones, is that you gain agility and flexibility and control. Now, if you think about it, in these big corporations, when you want to make a decision, you have to have all these big management meetings, you have all this red tape to get through, and it takes ages to make a decision or any kind of new idea to be pushed through and authorized. But if you're a small business, you can basically pivot in one afternoon and change things up and be able to switch things about and stay agile and lean. And lots of clients really appreciate that. So this speed is basically a superpower that lets you outmaneuver bigger businesses, and clients really value this. And so you basically get to run the business instead of the business kind of running you. So the third one, and this one's absolutely huge, you actually get to build much deeper and better business relationships. Because think about it, with these big corporations, they're a faceless corporation. You could be dealing with so many different people and it keeps changing hands and someone's on holiday. You don't really build up that rapport. But with smaller businesses, it's way more intimate. You know them. For example, we work with our clients and we have worked with them for like 8-10 years because we know them intimately. I will personally go to each of their workplaces to kind of do a strategy day with them. I've known them for several years, and you build up that trust, that really strong bond relationship, and they will also keep coming back to you, and they will keep making more referrals because they really know, like, and trust you. So this also creates something that's like way more important than a one-time transaction. This creates loyalty. And when it comes to loyalty, they're not just a loyal customer, but they become your evangelists. So they're less price sensitive because they will just keep coming back to you time and time again whenever they need anything and they want you to help solve a problem. And therefore you've got this really reliable, stable income from people that you genuinely love working with. So finally, you drastically reduce your risk, because a business with fixed high costs and a big team is quite fragile actually. Like any loss of a client or some economic downturn, and that could throw the whole business into chaos and destroy it quite quickly and put it definitely into financial turmoil. But a small business is actually much more resilient. So without the big overheads and a much more lean infrastructure, you don't have the complexities of a big organization. So you can weather the storms much easier. So you're basically making better decisions from a place of security rather than desperation. So the riches of staying small extend way past your bank account. The most valuable asset that you reclaim is control over your life. The founder of a large scaled up company isn't free. They're a slave to the machine they built. Their day-to-day looks like a calendar packed full of meetings with investors, boards, big complex team hierarchies, and they're constantly putting out fires. Their freedom is an illusion. So as the owner of a small business, your time is truly yours. So whilst you may have started your own business to escape the 9-to-5 and a micromanaging boss, by staying small, you then escape the prison of being a slave to a business that encapsulates you rather than you being empowered by your business. And plus, you also get to do the work that you actually love doing. It's the reason why you started the business in the first place. Whereas when you start to scale, you're forced to become this full-time manager. Your day-to-day suddenly goes away from that craftsmanship, that creativity, all the bits that you love that brought you into this business in the first place. And instead you're doing HR meetings, spreadsheets, financial projections, and all the stuff that you didn't start the business for. So by staying small, you get to maintain being that craftsman. You get to dedicate your time to being a master of your trade rather than a mediocre manager of people. And this focus doesn't just bring back the joy in your work, which it does, but it actually allows you to command the highest prices for what you do because you truly then become an expert in what you do. And finally, you get to build a legacy that's 100% yours. Now, growing often means giving away equity or, at least some sort of control in your company. And it then removes the essence of what your brand believes in and your values and why you started in the first place. Whereas once you stay small, you don't have any of that to worry about. So let's go back to that original question. Is the goal really to go big or go home? Because I don't really buy into that anymore. I believe that you should run a business that makes you truly rich. I mean, rich in profit, rich in time, and rich in freedom. Success isn't this one-size-fits-all definition. It's personal to you. Everyone has a different definition of success. And staying small isn't about thinking small, it's about thinking smart. It's a strategic choice to choose profitability over scalability and quality over quantity. And it's about having a better life rather than chasing big business goals and trying to get a business that you think other people will be impressed with rather than you being happy with. So what do you think? Have you ever felt the pressure to grow? Or have you actually found more happiness and profitability by intentionally staying small? Please share your story in the comments below, and I read absolutely every single one of them. And please do share, because your story might actually be someone else's light bulb moment today. And if this video resonated with you, then please do hit that like and subscribe button, and then follow me for more content that basically challenges the traditional path to success.